Hi, I'm Rachel The Messy Minimalist. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about 5 things that I wish I knew when I first started my journey towards minimalism. And some of these are going to be really obvious. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done a video, so I'm a little bit rusty. But the first thing that I wish I would have known when I first started is that there is no one-size-fits-all definition for minimalism. There's just not. It's ridiculous that some people can be so judgmental about what it means to be a minimalist and not a minimalist. I think when I first started, I had this idea in my head of what minimalism meant. You know, I thought that if I started getting rid of my stuff and if I started going through everything, then I would suddenly have this home that looked like a Pinterest board. I thought that once I'd achieved it, it would just be this. You know, maybe once I do achieve it, it will be. But the truth is what I've learned after a year is that it's not going to just suddenly magically look like a minimalist home because there's no real definition for minimalism. Reaching a sense of minimalism isn't going to be how many items you have in your home. It's probably not even going to have to do with how your home looks or your space that you're occupying looks. I don't believe that that's minimalism at all. I believe that it is about how you feel. When I first started, I was really set on just like the more I get out, you know, to get this stuff out of my life. I think I thought that the look would then make me feel better, but really it's not the look that's making me feel better, it's the process. I definitely believe that as you go through this, you're going to be assessing how you feel about your space, not how does my space look? And to know if you are getting closer to achieving minimalism, it's again not going to be, does my space look more minimal now? It's, does it feel more minimal? That's my kind of long-winded answer, but basically to say that there's no one size fits all for what minimalism is or how to define if you're getting there. I think it really is very much personal, and it's how you feel in your space and how you feel about the process. The next thing that I didn't really know then, that I definitely know now, and it's that organizing is not the same thing as minimizing. There is such a thing as an organized hoarder. Like, you can have a whole bunch of stuff and be really, really organized. You know, you might even still feel claustrophobic, or you might still feel like you have too much and you can't figure out why because it looks very aesthetically pleasing. So even if you're super organized with your stuff, that might still be overwhelming. I talk about this in videos periodically, and it's just the point that I don't go and buy organizational gadgets to better hide my stuff. I think it's really easy to get caught up with this idea that you're gonna, you know, go through a space, maybe you get rid of some stuff, and then you get to redo it. You know, you organize it, you put everything in neat little containers, and it's very cute how you display it, and you've got slidey things and things that pull out, and it's just this Pinterest-worthy space. It'd make Martha Stewart proud. That's the thing that a lot of us get caught up in, and I definitely do too. It's very hard for me to walk through a store and not stop in those aisles where you see these little containers. There's a reason that those things are out there, and they are great, and I believe that there's a time and a place for us to organize our stuff. I just don't believe it's wise to organize your stuff and buy special tools and gadgets when you haven't pared down all the way yet, because you're just going to be wasting all that time and really, again, wasting space putting away stuff that you don't actually need. It makes it very hard to know what you need when it's all neatly arranged and put away. I think that when your stuff is just out there in its unglorious raw form, you get a better idea of what you actually want to keep and what you don't. So organizing is one thing, minimizing, totally separate thing. They do not overlap at all. In some ways, even if you're a messy person and an unorganized person, there's still this thing about organizing that is so, I don't even know, fulfilling, I guess? It feels really, really good to not only go buy stuff to organize, but to see your stuff fit in places neatly and nicely. There's just this tidy, good feeling. It's probably borderline OCD, but something about it is just like, oof. But I think that we all need to accept that, yes, that is a very satisfying feeling to have and visual thing to see, but there's a delayed gratification that comes with organizing after you've gotten rid of your stuff. And I, in some ways, have experienced it. I did it a little bit in my kitchen when I'd gotten rid of stuff and I finally bought kitchen organizers. But there's a lot of places in my home that I don't have organization at all with. And I just know that it's gonna feel all that much better when I do finally pare down all the way and then start organizing. So allow yourself that delayed gratification because it will pay off. It'll feel just as good as you imagine it to, but it'll be way better because your organization methods are gonna be tidier, you're gonna have less junk in there, and you're only gonna be organizing what you want, use, love, need, and not just all your stuff. The third thing that I learned that I didn't know then and I know now, and it's that changes, like big changes, permanent changes, don't happen overnight. You guys are like, yeah. I think there's this idea that when you start throwing your stuff away or donating your stuff, just pulling things out of boxes, you have this sense of like, oh yeah, I'm cruising. And you get rid of things and you think that it's going to make a big difference. The reality is it very rarely makes an immediate difference, whether it's visually making a big difference or even mentally. Sometimes it just takes a while for some of the changes that you're making to settle in, and you can work for 15 hours straight and think that you're making a huge dent, and then look at your space again and find that it's actually messier than it was to start, or just that you're like, I still have so much stuff, why is this not changing? And I think that that's because we all have this idea that once we get started, it's just like bing, bang, boom, getting rid of all my stuff and now I'm a minimalist, but we're not. It's easy to get discouraged and feel like you're not making any progress and then just kind of go back to your old ways. But I think that it's important to know that you are making progress. Every time you do go through items, it takes a lot of mental effort and physical effort to get through this stuff. I'm sure you have your career, you might have a family, children at home. You know, even if you're a lone ranger and you are living the high life with lots of time on your hands, it's still hard to go through your stuff. The big thing is to just not be discouraged and to know that progress is being made. If you are working on it in any capacity, progress is being made. It's just gonna take some time. Sometimes the progress is so slow that it's happening over time and maybe you just can't see that it's happening because it's very incremental. The thing that I learned on this point is to just not be discouraged by the fact that it doesn't seem like it's just happening. Which leads me to the next thing that I wish I knew back then, but I do know now, and it's that there will be setbacks. You will have setbacks. It can be really discouraging when you go to a store like Target. It's my frenemy. Target is just that place that I love and I hate, and I love to hate, and I love to talk about it because it makes me think about all the pretty things there. But anyway, so my frenemy Target. There have definitely been times that I've bought stuff that I didn't need. Don't be discouraged if you have a setback. Don't be discouraged if you go and you buy $100 worth of stuff or $20 worth of stuff or $400 worth of stuff. That's gonna happen. And a setback isn't always even just like, oh, I just went and I bought a bunch of stuff. You know, a setback might just be that you're just in a lull and a rut and you feel discouraged and you feel like nothing's happening. You're like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe this is as good as it gets. You just gotta push through it. Or just ignore it for a while. Go about your life, do some other stuff, take a break, and then get back to it. Take a month off from it, you know, stop thinking about it. Sometimes at bed, my mind is just going. Like I'll have to tell myself, you know what, just shut off. I will think about it in the morning. Sometimes that's what it takes, is just giving yourself permission to just let it go for a while. You can pick it back up. It's not the end of the world, even though you might feel like you failed. That's the one thing to keep in mind. Setbacks will happen. Don't be discouraged. The last thing that I know now that I did not know then is that people are going to look at you funny. They just are. And this is not that big of a deal. Again, this is what I'm saying here. This is not earth-shattering stuff where you're like, oh my God, the 5 things that the messy minimalist knows now, what could they be? They're nothing crazy. My life is not that interesting. But There's just very human things that I have learned, and one of those things is that people will look at you funny. It's okay, I don't mind it at all. I don't talk to a lot of people in my day-to-day life about even, making videos or about my journey and my blog and whatever, and I think it's because there's something about talking to somebody in person who isn't already interested in minimalism and simple living and anything involving this stuff. It's a very weird thing to talk about. Like when somebody's like, what are you into? What'd you do this weekend? They are expecting you to say that you read a book or you went shopping. I don't even know actually what people are expecting. What do people do on weekends? I went out for pizza or something, That's not usually what I do on weekends. Yeah, people ask like, what do you do for a living, or what do you do for fun, or what'd you do on the weekend? Like people ask these questions, and if I say, well, I decluttered my house, I rented a dumpster, and I started purging items out of my garage. When I tell people that I'm getting rid of my stuff, there's a very mixed bag of reactions. Sometimes it's, first of interest, like, oh, why? Are you moving? People think that if you're getting rid of something, you have to have this reason. A much more tangible reason than you just want to have less stuff or you want to live more simply. For me, it went so much deeper. It was like my stuff felt suffocating to me. My stuff gave me anxiety. Like I reference how when I would wake up in the morning and open my eyes and look at my bedroom, I felt anxiety. I felt like, ugh. I'd go into my bathroom to get ready and I would feel dirty in there. And I would go to pick out my clothes and I would feel frustrated. Like I just always felt this sense of frustration and restriction. And it's funny to think that when you have so many different things, how could you possibly feel restricted, right? Like you should feel like you have just limitless options, but instead it had the opposite effect. So when you start trying to tell somebody any of this stuff who isn't directly experiencing the same thing, people don't know what to say. And a lot of people respond with one-word answers, and that one word is typically, huh. That was like a look of amazement. It's more like, huh. Yes, people will look at you funny. You'll just have to get over that or find something else to talk about. So that's what I got for you. Those are the things that I know now that I didn't know when I first started. And though they may not be earth-shattering, it's still just one of those things that you reflect on and realize that this is a slightly unknown journey. You're gonna run into ruts and setbacks. You're going to have weird conversations with people. You're going to question what minimalism even is, if you even are trying to achieve it or what you're trying to achieve. There's going to be lots of questions, and I think the big thing is to just keep plugging forward. If you are just starting your journey towards minimalism and you're just starting to declutter things, then just take it from me that these are the things that I now know that I did not know then. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoy more bite-sized pieces of information rather than these long-winded chats, you can always go to my blog, messyminimalist.com, where I oftentimes talk about similar topics in a more concise way. And if you like these video vlog things, then stick around and you will get some more of them. Anyway, thanks guys, and I will talk to you later. I'm gonna talk for 10 minutes and I'll get one little good nugget. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and reshoot this whole video.